Morning.
Morning, mate. How's it going?
Yeah, yeah, good man. Mike sounds good.
Yeah. Oh, does it?
Yeah, it's crisp.
Oh, perfect. New headset. Yeah, we're live on YouTube at the minute.
Cool.
Just started up. Morning, Joey. Yeah, I looked at I looked at pound this morning. Um, since we've seen what kind of happened in Asian, we're in a very tricky spot because obviously we're coming up to the weekly close. We've got the current daily candle in a bit of a tricky area. So obviously for weekly, we want to see the weekly close above 157 is going to be kind of what we want to see for the continuation, right? To say that we've got enough buyers in the market. We want to see a close above 157 on the weekly. So then I was like, okay, so if that's going to be the case, obviously daily then is going to need to break above this 156, 850 area where we've been kind of rejecting a little bit throughout the Asian session, because you can see how obviously throughout Asian we've been pushing up, but we obviously been pulling back as well a little bit. London session also now currently pulling back, but as a zonal point we're in a very tricky zone where we obviously have this area to the left hand side. This is where the rejections are currently coming from to the upside, and then you have this previous range area right here, which in theory if we get lower time frame closes below here, resistance forming, then we could potentially pull back down to where these lows were from the Asian session, which is obviously the same area where we had support formed previously, and we're probably just going to consolidate in here for the rest of the day. Um, Obviously that's not what we want. I'd personally rather see upside based on the fact that we had this move up, right? We've been moving up on the 4 hour, and then the last 4 hour candle from Asian pulled all the way back down to our previous resistance level and rejected it, and ended up closing bullish. So for London, we may see something what we saw similar the other day, where we saw pre-London pull down, London open, then creates pre-London open just before creates support, and then we start to exceed and push back up to fill this that was formed during Asian, right? So that's the kind of thing we want to be focusing on right now. Um, Obviously, I know some people might have been looking for sells based off of this 30-minute closure, but I don't think it gives really a good option in the grand scale of things. Well, reason being, we have rejection area, we have rejection area. Okay, yeah, we broke this one, but we have a fresh support right here. You then have this whole area to deal with, right? You have the fact that we rejected this area during Asian, so we're very likely, if we're going to pull down to here, to do the same thing, right? So for me, I don't think I'd want to sell until I saw kind of like a resistance below 156 400, maybe where we are, pull back and then create resistance. I'm happy for that around open, but I want to see some form of a lower high being made than this rejection over here. It's too easy to get caught in a sell on a Friday with this support, this area, previous 4 hour candle being very bullish. Doesn't really make a lot of sense to try and fight that right now. Just trying to play the idea that, okay, we've had one 30-minute candle break our range, but we got a lot of danger area. 1 hour candle obviously still open. But yeah, I think for the minute it's going to be a waiting game, really.
It's quite tricky, isn't it? You got a lot of rejections to 156, but then you're getting now upside rejections as well.
Yeah. So this is where I just want to probably take it nice and easy today. Obviously started the stream a little bit later than I wanted to again, but it didn't really matter because I saw it today and I was like, yeah, this isn't going to be your nice move Friday. This is going to be probably your dead Friday, unless we can get, I think purely it's going to need to be a break above 156 800.
Yeah, 800.
Yeah.
That's what I've got.
Yeah, without a break above 156 800, then there's no trade for me today. That's what I'll be looking for, a break above 156 800, and then we can look to continue this move up to around 157, 100. I think we would easily get today. But until that, I'm not looking for sell. Well, I'm not looking for sales yet, but I would be interested if we get a bit of reaction here, pull back, and we create some form of a rejection from this level, this watch level, right? Somewhere over here, potentially below 700, and then whatever we want to say, we could say, okay, now we would continue down and fill this and hit this kind of zone, right? But at the end of the day, that's still not going to be the best possible trade really that you want to have. The best option is going to be above this area for buys, because then I think once we break above 156, 800, we'll have the daily then at that point trying to break back above that daily level, which would then suggest that we could close above 157 on the weekly. So I'm trying to almost catch that last squeeze of buys before the weekend close. Otherwise, I'm probably not interested in taking a trade, because even if there is resistance formed, even if we get reactions here, pullback, resistance, we could just consolidate, because we're in this range now. You can see this big range that we have here. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of waiting now to see what happens. But that's GJ. Let's look at gold quickly. So gold did exactly what we said yesterday. I don't know if anybody was paying attention yesterday, but gold played out really, really nicely. So obviously we spoke about the fact that we were looking for that continuation during London to push up to these previous high points. So like I said, you could use these levels as targets for your looking for continuation of buys on gold. The other thing as well is that we spoke about the idea that potentially London session, if there's lack of volume, could pull us back to here, and then New York continue, which is exactly what happened for those who paid attention. So we pull back exactly because we had failed basically during London. You can see with the 4-hour candle in London, we basically failed to break above this kind of level here. We had a bit of problems there, and we ended up pulling back with New York to grab more liquidity at this support on the 4-hour, for then New York and NYC to push us all the way back up to the targets that we basically provided for upside during the London session, right? If you go to your 1-hour time frame, what did that look like yesterday on the 1-hour? Well, obviously price action was very messy, but you had an opportunity around pre-New York to look to get into that trade once you had that pullback, right? So you could see how we said during this is our London session over here, right? You could see how you had an opportunity to push up to fill this wick and then try and get over here, but you can see how we failed, exhausted, found rejection, pulled back, formed support. So that was your shot right there. Once you're at your 1-hour closure back above this level, right, you had an opportunity to push to retest the highs and then look to continue that move. So it was a very, very nice move to the upside on gold, and obviously it played out very, very well. And we spoke about the fact that during London, you'd look for continuation, but either you're already in a trade somewhere over here, right? Because we spoke about entry somewhere over here, lower time frame, looking to push up to fill that wick during London, which it did. That was your target. You could have obviously tried to let runners run. Now, if your runners didn't run very well, and obviously you got stopped out break even, but you wanted this to be risk free at that point. You want it to be risk free once you'd hit that target, and then you need to look to continue further. But like I said, if we got that pullback, right, then you could look to extend that move. Now obviously this was obviously news related. This whole choppy price action was very news related, but you would have been in and out technically before that, because if you're taking buys over here based on the 30-minute candle, putting stops below there, then that's your target. This high made in London is your target, right? So you would have had about a 26 pip stop loss, and then you had about a 35 pip reward. And in my opinion, that would have been me probably done. Or if not, I would have let that runner run to the next 4-hour level that we spoke about, and then you would have had a nice 60 pip move for your runner. that we spoke about with targets based on the 4-hour time frame, right? So yeah, but gold right now, if you look at gold right now, what is making sense? So if we look on our daily, so we can see obviously the previous daily candle moved up, retested the highs on the daily, but we found a lot of rejection here, right? But does that mean we're going down? Not necessarily. Where maybe are we pulling back to? Well, maybe we're pulling back to this daily support to grab more liquidity, so you can have a daily that finishes off like this, right? Maybe we're not going to finish off over here, but maybe at least we're going to finish bullish and start to come up and fill this wick after that rejection. If not, if we're going to if this is a rejection and we're going to start coming down, then of course daily will break this daily support. So the current daily candle will break this daily support and give you an opportunity for continuation downside to the downside on Monday, right? But at the minute, it's above support, so sells are going to be very, very tricky. Now, based on your 4-hour candles, this was your previous range, right? So obviously this is the whole area that we spoke about, daily levels, etc. But now this level to this level becomes your current range, right? You can see how Asian session has broke that support. So in theory, during London, yeah, we should be looking for resistance to do that. But you know that this level here is now your daily level. So what's probably going to make more sense? Well, probably what's going to make more sense is to look for lower time frame closes back above your 4-hour level, and then look to push back into this range to test the top of the range based on your idea that the daily should flip. Now, if the daily is going to continue breaking down, then of course we're going to create some form of structure or resistance below this support on the 4-hour. So for example, already you can see that we've had a low formed below this level, and now we're looking like we're trying to break down below this low, right? So I mean, for sells, you could argue there's an opportunity potentially below the support at 1794 500 potentially, but what I'd rather see is probably a break above 1797 500 for buys, right? There's your most recent resistance, and now we've created this low during Asian. So breaks below here with lower time frame resistance could give you a shout. Where would you target? Down over here. That would mean that your daily candle would not be respecting daily support, so you have to obviously take that into consideration. But like I said, you know, a bit more risky, okay, if you get rejections from this low, but good rejections with strong 30-minute candles closing back above your 4-hour level, you may want to take buys to push back up to the top of the range, go break even, and then see if we can push back to your recent 4-hour level. Considering that we could find rejection here again, we may drop down a little bit and find rejection over here, because what happened here, this is a level that we found rejection yesterday. Oh, thank you for the subscription. We found a wick yesterday that clearly created that rejection to the downside to push us up, and then we ended up closing all the way over here. So you can see we may tap into the zone here and then push back up, you know. So for the minute, I would personally be looking for, you know, one of two things. Like I said, potentially a strong rejection from this low, right, respecting the support. If you get solid closures, it could be worth a shot to push back up to here, go break even, and then look to extend based on the 4-hour daily idea, right? Or if you want to be a bit safer, you could wait till we're above 1797 500, breaking that resistance, and then look to play the next range all the way up to 1801, right? 1801. So that also makes a lot of sense to do so. But yeah, it looks like we had a reaction around that 1-hour level, so you'd want to watch that if you're looking for sells. But to be honest, I think buys make a lot more sense based off the daily, etc. And then yeah, you can see this level is going to be extremely important when it's going to come to the downside. That's where we rejected based off that wick yesterday, and it's the previous level of support. So if I was selling, I have to be break even by this level, because easily we could have a rejection from here and the same thing occurring with a move to the upside. So if you were going to look for sells below this support here at 1794, I would be break even within 17 pips. So I mean, that's not too bad, you know, for a 17 pip move. You know, you could even say this is a target rather than a break even, but that's completely up to you. But I would be very, very cautious of that current level. So looking at pound yen, just kind of ranging. We've got 5 minutes left till London Open. Obviously 1 hour candles are bearish, but I think, you know, if we look at it, we're just pulling back to the resistance that was formed yesterday, if you look on the 1 hour, which is interesting because we had a lot of problems. Below this resistance yesterday, if you look, right? So it's funny how we had all range disgusting price action in here. We had disgusting price action around this level as well. Even though we broke out, we had more consolidation, but then since breaking above that area, we've had clean moves. So we're just pulling back to this now. So I'm thinking we could see more rejections over here again, and then maybe open is going to start to push us back to the upside, and then, like I said, breaks above this resistance. Look to target these levels to the left hand side, 157, 100, and stuff like that. Obviously keeping an eye on the what's it called, this previous daily level, and just keeping an eye on the previous 4 hour levels, and also keeping an eye on your key level at 157, because we may find rejection there as well. Because at the minute, while prices around these highs and prices that we've not really been to for a while, we're likely to see reactions at certain key levels, 157, 156, right? You know, if you look at 156, was held as a support all yesterday, right? We spoke about potential buys around this level during the stream yesterday, but it's very, very tricky to get that entry that we wanted, right? Because we wanted to get some form of entry down the lower side to push to the upside, which happened with just a big ass move. But yes, so we are waiting here on pound yen, and I think overall the safest sells you're gonna get is not gonna be till below all this. You know, until you're below all this with the structure, sells are just not gonna. It's not gonna be safe. You know, below here, then you could argue, okay, maybe we're pulling all the way back down to this support to finish the weekend because there's not enough buyer liquidity to break us higher at this point. Okay, yeah, I can agree with that. But until we're below this level, this kind of zonal point, we're not going down. You know, while we're above here, we're either just going to consolidate in this big ass range, or we're going to hold the support, break up to the upside, and then look for continuation buys above that area. There was a USD major news during NYC yesterday. Yes, there was. What there was that yesterday? I think it was the that's it. Unemployment claims was yesterday. GDP also was yesterday. Okay, I'm interested about this because I'm seeing very different figures in my own private research. So we're gonna see how the NFP goes next week. I think it is NFP first Friday of November. I'll be interested to see NFP. I'm personally expecting really bad numbers, and I'm expecting gold to have a flyer to the upside, but it depends. It may already be priced in, the idea that there's potentially going to be a bad NFP, but I don't think so yet, because we've had a lot of pullbacks, heavy pullbacks. I think price had just been very bullish anyway, structurally. So yeah, I think for the minute we are we're not quite there yet. But you can see gold, it's got 50 seconds left. It's trying to break down below 1794, 500. So like I said, you know, there's a potential opportunity, but if you're going to take sells, this 1792 level, 1792 500 is going to be really key to watch out for potential rejections. Really key to watch out for potential rejections. So we're going to keep an eye on that. GJ is just kind of here or there. We've got 30 seconds left till open. So I think if there's going to be a trade, it's going to be way after open. It's going to be like once open giving us some volume, then we'll see some form of the move that we want to see. But there's probably going to be a little bit more waiting over here before we try and look for anything. Yeah, we've hardly had any kind of move down at this point. So we've got London Open coming up. If we just start coming down heavy, then I mean it is what it is. But, you know, it doesn't really. Yeah, you can't really sell into this yet. You can sell below it, but you can't sell into it yet, because even this 1 hour candle breaking this minor consolidation does not mean we're coming all the way down over here. It just means we've broke this small level and now we're retesting this. So now we want to see if we're going to respect this to create a wick to push back up, or if we're going to start driving down, at which case lower time frame will give you opportunities later on. But you want to wait. We want to wait. Good morning Pablo. Gold look tricky. Yes, it's a little bit tricky. I will wait. We have news in NY today. Thanks to the analysis there. No problem. Yeah, it's going to be really tricky on gold. The thing is as well is, like I was saying, based on the 4 hour, it makes more sense to look for buys. Based on your daily, etc., it makes more sense to look for buys. And that's funny because this watch level is basically at that daily support level as well. You can see London Open is just pushing back straight into the range. Yeah, very tricky. Yeah, you need to wait for like a 5-minute resistance, lower time frame resistance. But if you get this 30-minute, right, closing you back in the range, I personally think that's a good opportunity to look to do this. Like we said at the start of the session, it made more sense to look for a 30-minute candle, either rejecting this level here, but since we broke down, it makes more sense to look for a candle closing back inside the range, and then you could have the next candle push back up, and that would be based on the 4 hour closing you back inside the range and then pushing back up at that point. Let's take a look. Pound yen, so it's currently made a lower wick, not really much volume here so far with London Open. But we're gonna wait and see what happens. I got buys at 156 300 on GJ. 156 300. Nice. You're holding buys from 300. Yeah, I think if you're holding buys from this level, I think you should be break even and see what happens here. But very nice. Yeah, I think that's gonna make more sense. I think that's gonna make more sense. On November 3rd we have FOMC. November 3rd FOMC. Yeah. November 3rd. Yes, we have FOMC. Yeah, that should be interesting. And we also have NFP, right? So NFP is obviously going to be more important for more of the jobs, right? That's going to be more about obviously to do with the unemployment. Obviously FOMC more to do with interest rates. We also have next Thursday the next MPC summary, right? For the Bank of England. So that's also going to be really interesting when it comes to pound moves next week. Why? Because if there's further talks of interest rate hikes, again, this could be the further catalyst that we need to see pound break further high points, right? So if you think about it, maybe we're going to have a little bit of market volatility, or we could say we could have a bit more range leading up to that event, leading up to the MPC event. But that's going to be really interesting. So I think we're going to have to obviously take a look at what they say and see how markets react. Now, leading up to this event, this is where we may start to get pricings in. Again, based off the same kind of ideas. Interest rate hikes, when are they going to come? But this is the thing. There's been talks on interest rate hikes, and that's why we had that impulsive move to the upside. But there's no discussion yet of when. So it could be they're not planning to increase interest rates for the next 2 years or the next 3 years. It could be 6 months. We don't know. So when we start to get more clarity on the time scale and whether inflation is going to continue higher, right? And if we're going to get higher inflation, then if you think about it, the higher the inflation, the more likely we are that the Bank of England going to have to step in to increase interest rates. So, and let's say our next CPI data comes out even higher than the target for the Bank of England, which they said we would hit around 4% by the end of quarter four. If it's higher than that, then we could see that potentially markets see that as that the Bank of England need to step in more rapidly rather than at a later date, which would obviously basically mean in the end that we may see more of an upside move based on the idea that it's going to happen quicker, right? But that's what I'm trying to say. Time scale is important when it comes to interest rates, because if they're not planning to increase rates for 2 years, is that really going to make a massive deal on pound right now? Well, not really. But if we could see interest rates within the new year, okay, now we can start talking about that, right? But yeah, it looks like London Open is pulling it back down after making a top wick. But yeah, there's no sells for me here at this point. I'm not really interested in taking sells. Not interested in taking any sells. At least till we're below like 156, 400. But I think based on the idea that it's coming down, I think it makes sense for it to come down to 0.400. Just because we already had that initial reaction pre-London to this support. So if we're not basically respecting this, then yeah, now next area makes sense to come down to is here. So you got a 14 pip move effectively from a 30-minute closure. Stop sort of had to go on here. Yeah, there was an option, but is it the best option? It's a Friday. Yeah, I'm not gonna personally play with that idea, right? I'll be waiting for two things. In fact, I'm only waiting really for one thing, and that's buyers above here. Sells, I'm not interested on a Friday. I'm not interested to try and take any sell position. Even if I was, it'd have to be below 0.400, 0.350. It'd have to be somewhere below that level for me to say, okay, we can come down now. But before that, I'm not interested. So you can see gold is coming back in the range, which is obviously makes more sense for our buys bias, or at least for our range session bias, right? Made more sense to look for upside. Yeah, it looks like London Open is not doing much at all. London Open is not doing much at all. Yeah, so London Open's not really doing anything right now. Gold, obviously, we said coming back in the range. So, yeah, I can see 30-minute candles now flipping back bullish. But yeah, not much going on at all. Not much going on at all. Right, should we get some music on for the guys? I'm gonna be back in a minute. Let's get some music going. Enough of me talking, right? But guys, just a quick one from me. Obviously, make sure everybody is subscribed to the YouTube channel. Make sure you drop a like on the stream, because obviously I'm gonna probably make the announcement officially next week, but just to give everyone a heads up, for those who are subscribed, we're looking to do a giveaway at 2k subscribers, so we'll see how we get on. But yeah, we're looking to do a giveaway at 2k subscribers. Joey, no to music, yes to you talking low. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll turn the music back off when I come back, but just for the minute, I'll have it running just so it's not dead silence. Right, I'll leave you guys on pound yen. I'll be back in literally a couple of minutes, and then we will see what's going on. I'll leave you with my amazing drawing, my amazing idea. Right, I'll be back in a minute. Right, we're back. So GJ is kind of moving up, but it's not breaking above 156,800 yet. Clocks go back this Sunday. Yes, they do. They do, which means we get an extra hour sleep. Hallelujah. So yeah, looks like we were correct in our assumption so far that pre-London was a pullback for London open to potentially continue bullish. But obviously we need 500 respected, and we need price to break above 0.800. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very tricky. How's gold getting on? Oh wow, gold pulled right back in the range. Yeah, whenever you get a 30-minute closure like this on gold, always gonna need to wait for some form of a minor resistance or for the top wick to be formed, and then as it flips, that's where you could take your entry, and that usually is an R being formed on the lower time frame anyway, when that top wick's been created. You have to trade gold a little bit different to pound yen. Pound yen I usually just enter on the close, put stops above the candle or whatever, but gold, yeah, I want to see that lower time frame support resistance being formed. I think GJ is just going nowhere really.
It's ranged, isn't it?
Yeah, in all honesty, it is just not really doing anything. Because like I said, in theory, you know, if we do create a resistance below here, because this is our most recent support resistance, then obviously this is our target, but am I going to want to do that to push to 400? No, not on a Friday. Not going to be my personal setup. Plus 30-minute candle is currently bullish, so it just doesn't really make sense. Yeah, I think it's just a case of gonna need to be. It's obviously gonna be a weighted game, but we may not get this move up till, you know, near a close of the 4-hour candle above here, and then maybe 4-hour candle wants to close somewhere up over here for an MY to do a retest and continue. 4-hour. Let's just look at the 4-hour currently. Yeah, you can see we're just done nothing really. Just done nothing really, yeah. So, yeah, we're just kind of waiting. So yeah, I mean, it does seem like we are creating a resistance back below that previous level that we were speaking about at the start of the session. So yeah, maybe there's a little shot to retest this low and continue, but that's not going to be the best option for me today. That's just an option. But I mean, do you really want to fight these two 30-minute bullish candles right now? No. Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea at all. Alright guys, I think we're gonna call it a day in a minute. I've actually got to take off in a minute. So make sure you drop a like on the stream. Do me a favor, so we can get other people to start coming back on the live stream, start getting that YouTube algorithm going. But yeah, I think this is going to be a dead ass day for pound yen today. Gold 30-minute close back in the range, but you can't. Now this is where it gets tricky on gold, because in theory we've closed at a rejection area. So at the same time, I'd probably want to see an actual candle break above this area, close above that area. But yeah, like I said, guys, I think I'm gonna call it a day over here, and I've marked out my parameters for the rest of the day. So like I said, you know, buys above 800 are gonna make a lot of sense, right? Buys above 800 can make a lot of sense, and I think for sells, I'm just gonna leave it. No sells for me today. No sells for me today. Right, Harrison, have you been considering doing 2 sessions with 1 pair rather than 1 session and 2 pairs? I mean, I haven't considered it, but I prefer to just trade 1 session, whether that be 1 pair or 2 pairs. I just prefer the 1 session, because then I know when my trading session is done. If I had the time, I'd probably want to do the Asian session, but I don't have the time. I did enjoy trading Asian session back in the day. It was my favorite, but obviously now London I enjoy a lot and I'm pretty good at it, so just gonna stick to that for the minute, and then we'll see where the future takes us. But yeah, I haven't really got the time to be doing that as well. This Q4 not the best start. Ooh, why has it not been the best start? Q4 is nearly over. When did Q4 start? Q4 started. Sorry?
This month.
Oh, did it start in October?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Oh yeah, it did. So we got 2 months. Oh yeah, we're only a month in, to be fair. Sorry, sometimes I get a bit confused. Okay. Yeah, so don't worry if you haven't had the best start. You're only, what, 1/3 of the way in, so there's still a lot of time to turn it around. So yeah, like I said, guys, drop a like on the stream. Let's get those likes up. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel as well, so that we can get ourselves to that 2K goal, and then we're gonna do a giveaway for you guys. Don't know what it will be yet, but there will be a giveaway. Alright then, guys, so thanks very much, everybody. We'll be back Monday, normal time. We'll be starting earlier next week. It's just this week's been a little bit harder for me. Starting the streams a little bit earlier. Monday, Tuesday is fine, but last couple of days of the week been a little bit busy during those times. So yeah, we've had to obviously stream a little bit less, or yeah, we've had to stream less than I wanted to time-wise. But next week we'll get some full time in, which is good. We'll start the sessions nice and early, so we can get a lot of analysis in, a lot of talking points, discussion, etc. So yeah, we're going to be looking forward to that. So thanks very much, everybody. Appreciate everyone coming on. We'll be back next week, Monday. Have a good weekend. Trade safe the rest of the day. Right, it's a Friday. Do not blow your week's profits. Do not blow or don't ruin the month, because it's the end of the month as well. So yeah, honestly, take it nice and easy, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you all Monday. Thank you very much. Take care.